Now, James Morrow, I want to get out of Melbourne and let's get over to the UK, because I found some comments. I mean, I could talk about Jeremy Corbyn and the risk he is to Jews in Britain, indeed around the world, every night. There is a story every night. But I found this extraordinarily bad in the sense that we're in the Five Eyes relationship with the UK, that he came out basically in defence of Abu Bakr Baghdadi, the former head of ISIS, Islamic State, until he was killed recently, thank God, by President Trump. But he's saying, well, he shouldn't have been killed. He shouldn't have been assassinated by special forces. He should have been brought in and faced a trial.
I was absolutely gobsmacked. There's no other word for it, Peter, when I read these comments this morning, when I saw Jeremy Corbyn said that the appropriate way that we should have dealt with Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was not to go and chase him down with special forces, but to somehow arrest him. Now, I'd love to know how Jeremy Corbyn, who, by the way, has been a friend to all sorts of people who are anti-Semitic, anti-Western. He's called Hamas friends of his. He's been very close to other sorts of groups, IRA, all sorts of things like that. So it's no surprise that he's friendlily disposed to Baghdadi. But how do you suppose you're supposed to arrest him? Do you do a traffic stop when he's out buying some milk and say, oh, we pulled you over for a taillight, and by the way, you're under arrest, off to, the court in The Hague? No, of course not. The guy had a suicide belt on him. He was chased down by that hero dog Conan and special forces, and blew himself up like the coward that he was. What Corbyn is doing, thinking that this sort of person who turned his back on civilization, who has been nothing but a rapist, a terrorist, a murderer on the most mass scale, deserves any sort of benefit of the doubt? And are the handcuffs too tight, Mr. Baghdadi? I mean, come on, really, Peter.
I mean, I see this politically, though, for what it is. This is an attempt by him to try and pick up some of the Arab vote in the United Kingdom on the back of plummeting polls over the weekend. I mean, some of his numbers, even in the north, in terrible territories, had sort of 20-point slides over the last few weeks. So this is pretty sinister politics, I have to say, Jane. And he was heckled. I'm not surprised he was heckled. He was heckled and called a terrorist sympathiser. But what people would find interesting, it was by a local vicar as he got out and campaigned on the back of these comments.
Yeah, he was indeed, and good on that local vicar for belling the cat. Jeremy Corbyn also, as you and James have mentioned, is an anti-Semite. And interestingly, Peter Curti has written about this in The Australian today, and this sort of spread of anti-Semitism, particularly of the left, and some of those arguments that have been made about Jeremy Corbyn are being made of the left in Australia too, about sort of catering perhaps to the people in your electorate. We are in very, very dangerous territory, and Jeremy Corbyn is a very, very dangerous leader. I mean, to wish that the terrorist who blew himself and his children up could have been saved. I perfectly understand the argument about putting someone on the stand, but to mourn the loss of a man who killed his own children, I think was appalling. But there are so many dangerous things about Corbyn, that and the anti-Semitism. And to be quite honest, Peter, keep talking Jeremy Corbyn and let the people of Britain really know, as they go to that general election, who you are.
The sunlight is the best argument against Jeremy Corbyn. The more people see and read what he says, the better it is for Britain and for the world.